Hey everybody, and welcome back to Sip and Talk. All right, so everyone's been buzzing about this DeepSeek thing. You might remember we mentioned this Chinese AI company a little while back. And honestly, our inboxes have been blowing up with requests to dive a little deeper. It seems like everyone's kind of freaking out, especially with the stock market going all wonky lately.
Yeah, I mean, between the market like taking a nosedive and the Chinese media going, "Oh, America, you lost, game over." Yeah, people are definitely a little on edge.
For sure. So we're tackling the big question. Is America really losing the AI race? And what is it about DeepSeek that's got everyone so spooked? Well, we've been digging through a mountain of articles, analyses, all that good stuff, getting ready to share some juicy insights with you.
So from what we've gathered, DeepSeek is a fascinating case. They're using these open source AI models, and there's this whole whisper campaign about them maybe even training their models on ChatGPT. And get this, some folks are calling their approach, get this, quote unquote, characteristically Chinese, which basically means, well, let's be real, they might be borrowing a little too heavily.
Ooh, so we've got some potential IP drama brewing. I knew this was going to be good. But before we get into all that, let's look at why DeepSeek is making waves. CNBC, the BBC, everyone's reporting that their app is like exploding in popularity, not just in China, but here in the US too. They're actually beating ChatGPT in downloads in US app stores, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, and it's not just the popularity thing. What's really shaking things up is the cost of developing their models. Reports are saying it was somewhere around $6 million. Now, compare that to the hundreds of millions that U.S. companies like OpenAI are throwing around. And yeah, it makes you wonder if the old way of doing things is maybe not the only way.
$6 million. Seriously, that's like, what, someone's lunch money in Silicon Valley? Okay, but hold on a sec. We got to address the elephant in the room. Some experts, like this guy, Hu Kaipin from Taiwan, are like, wait a minute, $6 million? Really? They're putting to DeepSeek's history of buying up all these super expensive GPUs, which, as we know, don't exactly come cheap. So are they trying to pull a fast one here? What's the deal?
Well, not necessarily. We got to remember that DeepSeek is using these open source models like Llama, so they didn't have to start from scratch. They could just focus on tweaking and optimizing what was already out there. And experts at Taiwan's National Chengchi University have been saying this approach can actually lead to like way better performance for way less money.
So they're basically taking a stock car and turning it into a souped up racer. Clever. But this brings up a kind of sticky ethical question. There's all this talk about this technique called distillation, where basically one AI model learns from another. And some people are saying this might be crossing the line into IP theft. UDN.com had a really interesting piece on this, talking about fairness and security in AI. What do you think about all that?
It's definitely something to think about. This whole situation with DeepSeek shows how we need to have a deeper conversation about, balancing innovation with ethics. But if we zoom out a bit, this is all part of China's bigger plan, right? The BBC and the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, they've both talked about how China sees AI as this key part of becoming a global tech superpower. And it's not just AI itself, but how it can be used in all these other areas like hypersonics, quantum computing, and autonomous systems, the whole shebang.
Oh, hold on. So they're aiming for a full-on tech takeover. Talk about ambition. And some analysts are already comparing this to the classic rivalries, like Steve Jobs versus Bill Gates. This guy, Jeffrey Towson, even said DeepSeek could be the Bill Gates of AI, ready to, shake things up and change the game.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting comparison. And you can't deny that there's a sense of urgency in the U.S. right now. People are even throwing around terms like Sputnik moment and Pearl Harbor when they talk about DeepSeek. Even Mark Andreessen himself used those terms, so it's serious business.
Wow, that's intense. It's like we're watching a real-life tech arms race unfold right in front of us. But let's just shift gears a bit and talk about something a little closer to home: data privacy. The United Daily News reported that DeepSeek's privacy policy basically says all your data goes straight to their servers in China, which kind of raises some red flags about, potential government snooping.
And it gets even more interesting. Unlike TikTok, which tried to calm everyone down by moving their data to U.S. servers, DeepSeek doesn't seem to be doing that at all. Some analysts are saying this could mean they're collecting even more data than TikTok.
Okay, that's making me think twice about my app permissions, for sure. But before we all spiral into a tech-induced panic attack, let's hear a different perspective just to mix things up a bit. Jan LeCun, the Turing Award winner who's leading AI research at Meta, he's been saying that DeepSeek's success isn't really a threat from China, but more like a testament to the power of open source AI. and that this kind of development actually benefits everyone in the end.
Yeah, that's a really important point to consider. Open source development could actually make AI more accessible, more collaborative, and spark a whole wave of innovation around the world.
So maybe it's not just a zero-sum game. Maybe there's a way for everyone to win with AI.
It's definitely more complicated than just winners and losers, and that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating to talk about.
Okay, so DeepSeek's definitely shaking things up in the AI world, but what does this all mean for the future of AI? And more importantly, what does it mean for us, regular folks?
Well, one of the biggest takeaways here is that you don't need to spend a gazillion dollars to develop cutting-edge AI. DeepSeek's low-budget approach has really made people rethink how AI is developed.
Yeah, I mean, if they can do it for like a fraction of the cost, that could totally change the game. Imagine smaller companies, startups, even like some random person coding in their basement could suddenly compete with the big guys.
Exactly. It could make AI development way more accessible. We could see a burst of innovation coming from like all these unexpected places.
That's pretty exciting, but we got to be realistic too, right? This whole low-cost open source thing could also be a problem, couldn't it? I mean, what's to stop some bad actors from taking advantage of this? And we've already talked about the whole intellectual property theft and data privacy issues. It seems like every cool new tech thing comes with a whole bunch of risks.
You're right. There's always a flip side. And that brings us back to the big question. Who's really in control of AI and who benefits from it? DeepSeek's model, with all its potential for good and not so good, really shows just how complicated this whole issue is.
Definitely a lot to think about. On one hand, you've got people like Yann LeCun saying open source AI is going to change the world for the better. And on the other hand, there are these very real concerns about data security, misuse, and, the whole blurring of lines between corporations and governments.
Yeah, it's messy. And that's exactly why we need to be having these conversations. We need to look at the whole picture, weigh the pros and cons, and figure out what kind of future we want with AI.
Totally agree. It's easy to get caught up in the hype or like the fear-mongering.
Yeah.
But we got to stay informed, ask the tough questions, and make sure AI is actually serving humanity. Speaking of which, what's been the biggest, aha moment for you so far in all this?
For me, it's realizing that this isn't just about tech, it's about global power dynamics shifting right in front of us. DeepSeek's success has kind of forced the U.S. to face the fact that they're not the only players in the AI game anymore.
Yeah, it's a wake-up call for sure.
Yeah.
The world's changing fast and AI is right at the center of it all.
And this new era comes with a whole lot of opportunity and a whole lot of challenges. The decisions we make today are going to determine where AI takes us.
Absolutely. This isn't just a conversation for techies and politicians.
Yeah.
We all need to be part of this. We're all going to be affected by AI, whether we like it or not.
Exactly. We need to move past this whole us versus them mentality and embrace the fact that this is a complex issue with a lot of different perspectives.
That's a great point, and I think it's a good place to take a little break. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to wrap things up and leave you with some final food for thought. I just want to give another shout out to Micky from Mickytolife. His channel is a treasure trove of inspiration, and he's a huge Sip&Talk fan.
Absolutely. Make sure to check him out and maybe even share your awesome podcast intro with him once you've created it.
And we're back, ready to wrap up our deep dive into DeepSeek. It's amazing how this one company has really turned the AI world upside down.
Yeah, they've definitely thrown a wrench into the whole, conventional wisdom about how to succeed in AI.
Right. Like all those assumptions about needing massive budgets and years of research to get anywhere. DeepSeek's basically saying, hold my beer, watch this.
And the impact's been undeniable, right? All those Sputnik moment and Pearl Harbor comparisons might sound a bit dramatic, but they show just how much DeepSeek has shaken things up, especially here in the U.S.
Yeah. People are definitely feeling the pressure. It's not just about the tech itself anymore. It's about the global balance of power.
Yeah.
Economic implications, national security, the whole 9 yards.
It's like the world was playing this AI game with a certain set of rules, and DeepSeek came in and said, nope, new rules.
And not everyone's happy about it.
Well, it's understandable, right? There's a lot of uncertainty. On one hand, DeepSeek's open source approach could lead to a more collaborative, more accessible AI ecosystem.
Exactly. Imagine smaller companies, research labs, even just individuals, suddenly having access to the same kind of AI tools as the big tech giants. That could lead to some crazy innovation.
But then there's the other side of the coin. The potential for misuse, the ethical questions about IP, the whole data privacy thing, especially with the servers in China.
It's like every exciting new technology comes with a giant asterisk, right? DeepSeek is a perfect example of both the incredible potential of AI and the potential for things to go sideways.
And that's why it's so important to have these conversations, to think critically about where AI is headed. We need regulations, ethical guidelines, international cooperation to make sure AI is actually being used for good.
You know, it's not just a tech problem anymore. It's a human problem. We need to figure out what kind of future we want with AI and make sure it aligns with our values.
Couldn't agree more. We need everyone at the table for this conversation. Tech experts, policymakers, ethicists, everyday people.
We all have a stake in this. It's about making sure AI empowers us, improves our lives, helps us solve big problems without, turning into some dystopian sci-fi nightmare.
Exactly. We need to be smart about this. This isn't just about robots taking over the world. It's about making sure technology serves humanity, not the other way around.
Well said. So to everyone listening, remember, DeepSeek is just one part of a much bigger story. The future of AI is still being written, and we all have a role to play in shaping it. Thanks for joining us on this DeepSeek deep dive. We hope you learned something new, maybe challenge some of your assumptions, and are ready to join the conversation about AI and its impact on the world. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring.